Good evening, everyone. This is Bill Breeden. Welcome to Constellation Tour number 73. Tonight we're going to go over the constellation Puppis, or the Stern. Puppis is part of the larger ancient constellation of Argo Navis, which was depicted in the sky as a large ship with a sail, and Puppis is the stern portion of that ship. So Puppis is best seen between February and April each year. So we've set Stellarium up here for April the 4th, 2021 at about 9:10 p.m. Puppis is a southern celestial hemisphere constellation, but it's part of Argo Navis, the great ship, and it extends far enough north that we can actually see it from Miami. So we have Stellarium set up here for April the 4th, 2021 from Miami and from reasonably light polluted suburban skies. So how do we go about finding Puppis? It's sort of an obscure constellation, even though it can be seen from part of it can be seen from mid-northern latitudes, and it does include 3 Messier objects, so it was even visible to Charles Messier from Paris. So how do we find Puppis? So we're looking south, and we're going to turn our view a little bit to the southwest here. And in April, in the evening, you can still see Orion. Orion is setting, and you can see the 3 belt stars right here. So we're going to follow the belt of Orion over to the left, and we're going to stop at the brightest star in the sky, and that is Sirius, or Alpha Canis Majoris, the bright star in the great dog Canis Major. And turning our attention to the great dog, you can see Sirius here, and you can see the pattern of the dog is right here. Here's the head here, and here are the legs, and here's the tail. So this here is Canis Major. So going from Orion's belt over to Sirius to find Canis Major, if you keep going beyond the dog's tail, you'll come to this empty region of sky right here. And if you look a little bit above that, you'll see 2 stars here and an L-shaped pattern of stars right here. So this whole region of the sky, these 2 stars here and these stars here, this is all part of Puppis the Stern right here. So it is a little bit obscure. There's no real striking pattern to Puppis the Stern. So let's go over that again. If Orion is still above the horizon, you can use the belt stars of Orion to point to Sirius in Canis Major, and you can follow the dog's tail just a little bit over beyond, and this empty area of the sky here is part of Puppis. And you'll see these 2 stars up here and this L-shaped pattern down here. So let's take a look at the constellation lines. And this is really interesting to see. You can see that Puppis is the stern. The great ship is turned sideways with the stern sticking up above the horizon here. And here's Vela, the sail. And then here's the keel of the great ship, mostly below the horizon, but you can still see a little bit of Carina, the keel here. And the rest of the great ship, Argo Navis, is below the horizon from Miami. But Puppis is above the horizon, and the constellation itself actually extends a little bit above where these lines are drawn. Puppis actually extends up into here. So this area right here is Puppis the Stern. Let's take a look at the mythical figures. It gets a little bit busy there, but you can see Canis Major here. Here's the great dog here with the tail. And then here's these two stars here that make up the back end of the stern of Argo Navis. And that L-shaped pattern of stars is right here. So you can see it's depicted as the stern of this great ship here that's cut off a bit below the horizon. Here you can see another constellation, Vela, the sail, and Pyxis, the compass. I guess could be considered part of Argo Navis since it would be used for navigation. The ship itself, though, consists of Carina, Vela, and Puppis. Okay, well you can see there's no real bright stars within the constellation Puppis. Let's take a look at the boundaries and take a look at the area of sky that Puppis occupies. Here's Orion's belt here. Follow it over to Sirius and Canis Major, and you can see that just beyond the dog's tail here is Puppis. Here's these two stars here. Here's the L-shaped pattern. But Puppis, the boundaries actually extend all the way around this way. So it's a pretty large, although faint constellation. Not even sure which of these stars would be considered the alpha star. Let's use our planetarium software and see if there is an alpha Puppis. There isn't one. It seems to me there's a star named Neos. That's right here. That's Zeta Puppis. Interestingly, there is no alpha star in this constellation, so it must have gotten borrowed and moved over beyond the boundary to another constellation. That's very possible. So the only named star I have on my list here is Neos, or Zeta Puppis, and it is a magnitude 2.2 star, and it's part of this L-shaped pattern here. And it is not a double star. It is a variable star, which simply means that it brightens and dims in a pattern over a period of time. Okay, I do have I've got a double star here within Puppis that we can go ahead and observe. So let's venture out to a dark site. Let's make it dark. All right, it makes it a little bit harder to see. Here's Sirius here. Here's the dog's tail. And if you go out just beyond the dog's tail to this empty area here, you'll see just above that these two stars here, and then this L-shaped pattern here. So let those be your guideposts to Puppis the stern. And it looks like it's within a little bit of the Milky Way. So it should be a nice area of the sky to just peruse with binoculars or a low-power eyepiece and a telescope. So let's take a look at K Puppis, as I have that listed here as a double star. And K Puppis is listed as magnitude 4.4 at a distance of 454 light years from Earth. And here would be the view of that the area around K Puppis in a pair of binoculars or a Telrad, giving you about a 6-degree true field of view. And you can see there's a double star here just off to the left of K Puppis. It's actually really pretty. They just appear to be background stars. So K Puppis itself does split. It is a tight double, with a separation of just 10 arc seconds. So if you're going to observe this one, I would recommend a 10 millimeter eyepiece or less, which would give you higher power. It's really a pretty region of the sky too. Let's go back out to naked eye view. And I have another double star on my list here, and it's V Puppis. It was way down here near the horizon. It's listed as a variable star and a double star of magnitude 4.5, located 959 light years from Earth. Let's take a look at this region of the sky here through our finder. Again, another really attractive region of the sky here. You have a lot of nice pairings, stars. You have some open clusters here. Let's take a look at that star V Puppis through a 9 millimeter eyepiece. Stellarium is not showing it separated at this level. It's showing a separation of 6.1 arc seconds, which is really a tight double. So maybe we can manually split it, Stellarium. No, it's too close together to be shown here in the software. I still would try it though. I mean, a real eyepiece is going to give you a view of the double star that sometimes Stellarium just doesn't have listed. Okay, I've returned us to a naked eye view with a 60-degree true field of view. And as I said earlier, there are several deep sky objects within Puppis, so you might spend some real time observing this constellation. I'm going to start with the three Messier objects. M46, probably the most well-known in this region of sky. M46 is an open cluster located 5,500 light years from Earth. And you can see that looking through the finder, you can actually see another open cluster here that's even brighter than M46. My guess here is that Charles Messier didn't mistake this one over here for a comet, but M46 was faint enough where it could have tricked him into appearing to be a comet, so he included it on his list when he discovered that it was not a comet. So let's look at M46 through an eyepiece. And let's back off the power a little bit. How about a 13 millimeter Nagler eyepiece, which gives us a true field of view of about half a degree. So this outer circle here is about a half a degree of sky. And you can see the open cluster here includes all these stars here within the field of view, including all of these that are closer together. And M46 has a little surprise in store for you. It does include within the field of view a planetary nebula. And let's talk a little bit about this, because this gives you an idea of the three-dimensionality of space. Okay, this open cluster, M46, is listed at 5,500 light years from Earth. But what about this planetary nebula right here? Is that part of the cluster? Is it in front of it? Is it way beyond it? Or is it about the same distance? Is it actually within the cluster itself? Well, that planetary nebula has its own NGC catalog number. It's NGC 2438. So let's pull that up here. And when we look at NGC 2438 itself, it's listed at 3,963 light years away. So about 1,500 light years closer to us than M46 behind it. So visualize that if you can. That planet, that greenish planetary nebula, is 3,900 light years away, and the open cluster behind it, M46, is 5,500 light years away. So it gives you an idea of the three-dimensionality of space, even though the sky does appear, I mean, we map it out as if it's two-dimensional, but it actually has so much depth to it. And this gives you an idea of it when you can actually visualize it. Okay, there's another Messier object within Puppis, and that's M47. Charles Messier did think this was a comet. This is the open cluster we saw earlier next to M46. This one is listed at magnitude 4.4 and at a distance of just 1,600 light years from Earth. So this one, M47 is one of my favorites. It's so pretty. This one is much closer to us than either M46 or the planetary nebula within it, NGC 2438. Let's try a different eyepiece on that. Now I would probably use a 19 millimeter panoptic to view M47 because you can get the whole thing within the field of view. And unlike Stellarium here, when you look at it with your real telescope, you're not going to see this obvious image that's been overlaid in the software. You're going to see other stars out here that aren't shown in the software, and it's going to all blend in and just be so pretty. The best way to simulate that here would probably be to zoom in even more. So it's all going to just blend in and look like one beautiful field of view. Okay, I've got another Messier object, another open cluster within Puppis, M93. And M93 is also known as the butterfly cluster. It's an open cluster of 6th magnitude, located 3,600 light years from Earth. And there's a view of it through a 13 millimeter wide angle Nagler eyepiece. And where are we within Puppis here? Let's see. So we're up in the northern part of it. So this should be, even though we're simulating the view from Miami, this should still be visible from even higher latitudes in the northern hemisphere. Okay, next is NGC 2451. Another open cluster. Puppis is chock full of open clusters because of its because the direction of it is toward this arm of the Milky Way. This one's also known as the stinging scorpion cluster. It's really a bright one. It's listed at magnitude 9.5, but it does include a lot of bright stars. And it is located, let's see what we have here. And it's not giving us a distance, so my guess is that the stars within it are at all different distances. Okay, next is NGC 2477. And this is another open cluster of magnitude 5.8. This one does have its distance listed at about 4,000 light years. And here's the other one we just looked at right next to it. So you can actually get NGC 2451 and 2477 in the same field of view. This one would look really nice with a wide angle eyepiece. There we go. That's the perfect choice. 13 millimeter Nagler with an 82 degree apparent field of view and a true field of view of about half a degree will perfectly show NGC 2477. This is also a Caldwell object, Caldwell 71. This is the reason I like open clusters. They're just so pretty. And again, here's the region of sky where you can find Puppis. And it does include a large swath of Milky Way, so it's a nice region just to scan with binoculars as well. So this concludes my overview of Puppis the Stern. Thank you for joining me. Good night and good seeing.